This is the Wildly Wonderful Podcast, Wide Open Spaces with Elise, the fiery redhead, where we get edgy, raw, and not so politically correct. You can listen to this podcast anywhere you love listening to your favorite podcast. Check me out at wideopenspaceswithelise.com. Elise is spelled I-L-I-S-E. Now let's listen, let's talk, and let's evolve together. Thank you for joining me today for episode number 185. Anxiety is like an annoying bug. Check out my newly published book, A Wanderlust Within, A Journey to Self-Discovery by Elise Litwin. It can be purchased online at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, or any other smaller online bookstore. Well, how was your last week? Mine was busy and crazy. And before I get started, I always like to give a shout out to my loyal listeners from over 88 countries where my downloads have happened from, where you've listened to this voice that I always thought was too deep, too raspy growing up. And now, well, this voice works in my favor. It's about embracing the differences we have in ourselves, the way we look, the way we feel. Embrace that beauty within you. You are the only one that's like you anywhere. So a shout out to Cameroon, Uruguay, Malaysia, and the Czech Republic, which I have been to before. I have visited Prague before, but I would love to visit those lovely places that are listening to me and so many more to spread this word of fighting for yourself, your mental health, your life, the way you live your life, the way you do things, the way you interact with people. It's all about how you fight for yourself. Almost everything will work again if you unplug it for a few minutes, including you. Quote by Anne Lamott. I thought it'd be great to start out with a quote about unplugging ourselves, because we don't do that. We unplug a toaster oven when we're done using it so it can cool off, chill. Do we do that for ourselves? Do we really ever unplug from the world? And most of you probably will say no, which leads me to this week's podcast. Anxiety is like an annoying bug. Now, honestly, as I was walking into my office, knew what my podcast was about, have a whole plan, just didn't have a title. And that title popped in my head. And it's basically because I do find personally that anxiety is like an annoying bug. In what fashion are you wondering? Well, think about when a bug's annoying you. It's flying in your face. You think you've gotten rid of it, and then all of a sudden you feel it on your arm and you swat it away. But it almost feels like it's still there. And then you start to almost feel like they're still flying around you. And then you think you've gotten rid of them, and before you know it, that annoying bug is back. But now it's bitten you. You've got a bug bite. And at first, it stings. Now you've smushed the bug. But the sting is still there. And then as time goes on, a bump forms and it gets red. And maybe it's really itchy, like a mosquito bite, right? The mosquito was buzzing in your ear, flying all around you. Now it's bitten you and leaves you with this aftermath of this itchy bump. You put some medicine on it, it calms it. And then all of a sudden, maybe the next morning, you find yourself unconsciously scratching yourself where that bug bit you. And now it's annoying you again. And it goes on for a few days till the bug bite starts to disappear. Maybe through medicine or you just leaving it alone and not scratching it, letting it, giving itself time to heal. That's a lot like anxiety. Now, I'm not talking about a severe anxiety disorder, so I want to make myself really clear. if you might have got offended by the title that anxiety is like an annoying bug. If you suffer from severe debilitating anxiety, it's more than an annoying bug. It's a complete disruptor in your life. And I understand that, and I don't want to dismiss you. But today I want to talk about more of the common forms of anxiety. And what got me thinking about this? Obviously, this podcast focuses around mental health, self-care, empowerment. And I've talked about anxiety many times, my own experiences with anxiety. I was out to lunch with a friend this week and talking about whatever and girlfriends do, and talking about we got on anxiety, something that this friend and I have in common. And they said something to me that resonated, or I would say maybe not so resonated with me personally, but kind of made a little light bulb go on in my head and go, They said that I'm trying to teach myself, and they have mild anxiety, like most of the world does, especially in the United States. It's like a chronic thing because we live such a fast-paced life, not feeling okay to rest and stop. We're taught that we should be always going in the United States, and it's just like a crazy thing. And so this friend said to me, I'm teaching myself that just because I have anxiety doesn't mean that I'm doing things wrong in my life. It really made me think. Not that I haven't had that thought myself, but hearing it come from another person. Because I've spoken to many clients, many friends, family members, myself, that when we're having a bout where our anxiety is elevated, immediately we think, what am I doing wrong? Why is my anxiety elevated? And just when this friend said it, it just kind of really hit me in that moment how so many people believe that because they have this mild form of anxiety, that they're doing something wrong. So let's hash that out. Let's talk this through. Number one, yes, you could be doing things wrong. You could be doing dysfunctional things in your life that are causing this anxiety. 1000%. But the flip side of it is you can have anxiety even when you're doing everything right. You're following the path you set for yourself. You can still have anxiety. Now, of course, number one, it's that chemical imbalance that you could be having in your brain. And that chemical imbalance becomes level and even through your hard work and possibly mild medications like Prozac or Zoloft, low dosage. And there's so many more out there, depending on what your doctor feels that you need. And so that chemical imbalance, well, obviously that's nothing you're doing wrong. That's triggering that anxiety. Our world, the stimulus that one individual takes in can be very overwhelming. I almost look at it as if, imagine yourself sitting in a chair right now. And you have this bubble, like the bubbles you blow with the soap. You have this bubble around you. The wind's blowing, you can see the bubble move with the wind. You know that this bubble is protecting you. But at any moment, because it's so thin and light, that it can pop and expose you to what the bubble's been protecting you from. And all it takes is one little prick for the bubble to burst. And that's kind of like what mild anxiety is like when you aren't doing anything wrong. It's those external forces that are poking at your bubble and can pop the bubble and expose you to things that are completely out of your control, not for anything that you've done. You might immediately come to mind your work environment. There are so many things in your work environment that cannot be controlled. Has nothing to do with your performance or your work. Maybe your boss gives you an assignment. You've already been kind of overloaded. Not anything because of you. Your job requires you to take on this new assignment. It causes you anxiety, but you're not doing anything wrong. And that's why I say this mild form of anxiety is like an annoying bug, because we have these stimulus that are always buzzing around us that can impact us at any minute, at any time, to cause anxiety. And so with this annoying bug, just like a mosquito, you either swat it away, you smoosh it to get rid of it. How do you cope with this anxiety that kind of just stays there under the surface with you? It's not debilitating. It's not affecting your daily functioning, but it's affecting the way you're feeling inside. Some minor things that people experience with the minor anxiety is, of course, you feel your heart rate beat faster. Sometimes you can almost feel the blood pumping in your body. Maybe your hands are a little shaky. Maybe you have that feeling, that feeling you get in your chest where your stomach drops and you just have that like icky anxiety feeling. Sometimes you can get a tightness in your throat from anxiety. Me, I can't sit still. I get extremely fidgety when things are poking at my bubble, that are trying to break my bubble, that's trying to protect me. I get very fidgety and antsy and moving my hands or fidgeting with something. When you see people doing that, that's usually because they're feeling anxious in any type of situation. And, well, that good old voice in your head that doesn't want to stop. Maybe you just keep ruminating over that annoying bug that's poking at your bubble, that's causing you anxiety, that you're trying to protect yourself from. If you bite your nails, anxiety. If you play with your hair a lot, anxiety. If you start to notice you're having a conversation and you're having what they call more pressured speech, you're talking louder, you're talking faster, anxiety. But you have to know that it's nothing. If you've eliminated, if you're not going through some type of dramatic thing or family complications or relationship complications, you're just going about your everyday routine in life, and you're feeling anxiety. You're not doing anything wrong. It's life. And life is anxiety. Living life is anxiety. So that kind of sounds shitty, right? Okay, so where's the optimistic part of this annoying bug? What do? You have to take it into your own hands, because the bug is always going to be buzzing in your ear. And so what can you do to help yourself? Now, first thing is to realize, sit with yourself for a minute. If you notice that your anxiety is elevated, or you're just starting to feel anxious and you haven't felt anxious in a long time, you do need to sit and think, is there something that's going on right now that's blatantly obvious that's causing me anxiety? You need to identify the perpetrator first, if there is one, to know how you're going to cope with it. And that could be simply getting that new assignment from your boss. You didn't realize it, but when you think, okay, everything else is pretty much status quo, the only thing that's changed is this new assignment on top of everything else I have to do. Bingo. There's your catalyst of what is creating the anxiety level to be higher. And maybe something happened to you the day before. Maybe you tripped down the stairs. and you hurt your knee and it's feeling sore, and you felt a little rattled because you fell down the stairs, you used your hands to protect your head from falling on the ground. That can rattle your system. That can create that bug buzzing in your ear. It can take just something like that to set off a wave of anxiety. Now, some of us have a constant wave of anxiety due to that chemical imbalance. And maybe you've mastered or worked on ways to cope with that anxiety that's always there under the surface. But now it's elevated. So you still need to go through that investigation of why is it elevated? Are you not handling things well in your life? What is going on? Why is that annoying bug buzzing in your ear again? So it's about research. It's about sitting with yourself. It's about focusing and go, oh yeah, this happened to me 2 days ago. I witnessed something that kind of rattled me, but I walked away from it. But yet it's still with you. It's something that happened that just kind of set that off in you, that underlying uneasiness that anxiety gives us. So look and evaluate your situation. And once you get past that, okay, I can't just swat the bug, because that means another bug will be probably close behind, because it's becoming summer and the mosquitoes are out. And so I can't just swat it and smush it, because there's another one in its wake. I have to learn how to cope with this annoying bug. Now, coping for everybody is so personalized, like your own personalized DNA in your body. What works for some doesn't work for others. Yeah, you probably hear people, go exercise, get your energy out. Go take a long walk somewhere. Go out with a friend for a cup of coffee. Those things help, 1,000%. But maybe those are just too basic for you. Maybe those are things that you are doing already, but yet you still have this anxiety, this low level of anxiety that is affecting the way that you're feeling in your body. Maybe you're not sleeping, or you can't fall asleep till 2 o'clock in the morning because your mind isn't stopping. Anxiety. So your goal is to figure out, what do I need? I'm not doing anything wrong. What do I need to help me cope with this anxiety? Whatever the catalyst was, or maybe there is no catalyst. Maybe it's just life in general. And I know the basic things to do, but those just aren't enough for me anymore. What do I do? And you really need to spend some time with this. And that, yes, can be anxiety provoking as well, spending time with it. But you got to do the work to see the results. Sometimes doing the work can be a little bit frustrating or overwhelming. But it's the only way we get to move through it. Can't move around it, can't move over it, we can't move under it. That's avoidance. We need to move through it. I love when someone comes to me, and I'm not talking clients, I'm talking about people in my own personal world, comes to me, and I've noticed their anxiety. I'm not going to, unless it's affecting, I see that it's really affecting their life or our relationship. I'm not going to be a therapist to my friend. But when a friend comes to me and goes, I've been feeling really anxious, and I'm not really sure why. And I know there's probably something there. Do you know any therapists that I could reach out to? I love when that happens. To me, that is such an epiphany for somebody. Number one, a lot of people don't believe in therapy. Number two, they think if they're going to therapy, there's something wrong with them. They did something wrong. And so when someone on their own comes to this realization, I don't know what's going on, and I just need to talk to someone for them to help me figure it out, for them to help me identify and know how I can handle it or how I can work through it. And if it is a chemical imbalance, how do we do that? Do we try without some medication? Do we try a low dose, whatever they recommend? But I love when somebody has that epiphany and comes to me. I think that is such an empowering step in someone's life. And I hope that someone who's listening to me right now has been on the precipice of this and says to themselves, I'm going to get a therapist. Now, real quickly, there are many easy ways. If you have health insurance, go onto your health insurance sites, put in mental health therapists, licensed mental health counselors, social workers, find someone who is near you or that you can do virtual. There are also companies that have virtual therapy that you can just work it out with them or whatever their fees are. If you don't have insurance or your insurance doesn't cover it, try to pick someone new. Don't just go to someone because your friend uses that therapist, because guess what? It's like when you go dating, no matter what your preference is to date. You go on a date, not everybody's your cup of tea. You go on dates and meet new people and go on dates because you're basically interviewing them to see if it's a fit for you. The same thing happens with therapists. Just because you start with a therapist and go for a few sessions and you're feeling kind of icky, you're not vibing with them, that's okay. Make the change. Doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong. Doesn't mean they're doing anything wrong, unless you feel that they're being inappropriate, which does happen from time to time, where they aren't so professional in their advice. They start to give advice, not therapeutic help. And so make a change. That's okay too. Don't feel stuck just because you started with someone. It's okay to make that change. So I love that first step. But not everybody needs to go to a therapist. First, some people want to try their own techniques. I heard one time from someone years down the road, and gosh, I don't even remember if it was another therapist or a doctor that I worked with or a nurse when I worked in psychiatric units in hospitals. But I'm not somebody who watches a lot of comedy and takes a lot to make me laugh. Don't ask me why. It's just my makeup. But someone had once said, look up funny quotes or funny statements by comedians or something that make you smile. It doesn't have to necessarily be a laugh, but a smile. And that's where I love sticky notes. Write those quotes, write those comments, or maybe it's a scene that you've seen in a movie and an interaction. Put them on the sticky notes. Stick them on the mirror in your bathroom. Stick them on the top of your desk or by your computer. When you start to feel that little bit of anxiety, read the quote. Now you're probably saying, how's that going to stop my anxiety? I'm not saying it's going to stop, but it's going to distract your brain from what physically was just starting to happen. And sometimes that can trigger your mind and your body moving away from those anxious feelings. Remember the environment. You don't see anything in your life that's happening that's causing anxiety. It's just the stimulus in the environment that's elevating those anxious feelings. Humor can just be so powerful that it can literally shift you out of that anxious feeling. So humor. Look for the humor in things. Pop on a comedy that you love. If you love Friends, put on an episode of Friends. I know it sounds so basic, but it's basically trying to be a thought stopper. It's trying to put a big stop sign up to that anxiety to say stop. And for a moment, I'm going to unplug. Remember the quote in the beginning? I'm going to unplug from where I'm at and what I'm doing. I'm going to read that quote. I'm going to remember that funny scene in a movie. I'm going to take time out to watch 30 minutes of my favorite comedy. You're unplugging for a minute and giving your body a chance to move away from that start of the anxious feelings. Now, I got to be real. I freaking hate exercising. I hate it. I'm doing it. I've actually been enjoying the treadmill a little bit more since I've started my GLP-1s, which I just started week 20 of. And because I've lost and my body just feels lighter and healthier, I'm enjoying the treadmill a little bit more, trying to put on my Lady Gaga Mayhem album and listening to that. So I'm enjoying that a little bit more. But it takes a lot of effort to get me on the treadmill. There is something that I've been doing that, I don't know, it just kind of happened, and maybe you do it already. I mean, there are people who do this. I just have my earbuds in, song comes on that makes me want to move my feet. And I could be outside, I could be in my house, and I just start moving to the music, dancing to the music. So I put those earbuds in because I was feeling a little anxious. Now I'm going to release that anxiety by just bopping around. I just saw a commercial yesterday. Gosh, I wish I could remember what it was. And I don't know what it was about, but the premise was, the visual was this girl who had earbuds in, and she's dancing to a song in the middle of the street, dancing and just enjoying. And maybe it was an ad just for the friggin' earbuds. I don't know. But that moment of watching her and watching her face and her smiling, that's how I feel when I do that. And I know you might feel a little uncomfortable thinking about possibly doing that, but who cares? Who's watching you? Nobody. You're in your own house. You're in your own backyard, on your own balcony, whatever. Maybe you're in the gym. Who cares? That's where you're supposed to be moving. Just put a little abracadabra on. Start moving yourself. And before you know it, I guarantee there's a smile on your face. You're exerting some energy, which starves anxiety. And, well, you're getting a little exercise at the same time. Who knew that getting rid of that annoying bug could be so fun? Well, if you are following me, you know that I'm trying to create a bigger presence on TikTok. But in that, I've found so many positive things to negate some of the negative things about social media. And making TikToks can be quite fun. And I'm not saying you have to post the TikTok. Making the TikTok is the fun. And a lot of times if I'm feeling a certain way, I'll pick a song, because you all know that I love music as a form of therapy. I'll pick a song that's really representing where I'm at in that moment. Maybe it's a song that talks about anxiety by, I think it's Doshi. And maybe that's the song you put on and you make a TikTok to, and you do your dance moves and you move around and you make the TikTok, whatever it is. I like to use I Am Not Okay by Jelly Roll as one. Hold On by Wilson Phillips as another. I love All I Know So Far by Pink. Those songs mean something to me when I'm feeling certain ways. And so doing a TikTok to it, mouthing the words, moving around. First of all, the creative nature of it, great way to reduce anxiety. Music, number 2, great way to reduce anxiety. And a form of self-expression. You're getting your feelings out. Like the song with anxiety. Anxiety, somebody's watching me. You know the song I'm talking about. Okay? Feelings of what anxiety causes us. This is another unique way, a coping mechanism to help you deal with that low level of anxiety. There are so many other ways. These are some ways that are not common, but I've found that work for me. And maybe these will work for you too. But maybe it's something else. Maybe you are very artistic and you need something to do with your hands. Pick up a hobby of. I know a lot of people crochet now because crochet clothes are kind of really in. I have some things that are crocheted that, of course, I've bought on Amazon. But I mean, if that's something maybe you've always wanted to do, you could create your own clothes. I mean, that's kind of cool, right? And in the process, you're being creative, helps anxiety. You are putting your time and your effort into something and focusing, helps anxiety. Then having a finished product, if you've put so much time into something, helps anxiety, elevates your self-esteem, and a feeling of accomplishment. So really the onus is on you from here. What can you do to swat that annoying bug that's been buzzing in your ear, that's making you feel a little uneasy and anxious? The challenge is for you, and I leave it up to you. And let me leave you with a quote by Lauren Elizabeth. Just because I can't explain the feelings causing my anxiety doesn't make them less valid. I'm going to leave you with that today. Thank you for joining me at Wide Open Spaces with Elise, the fiery redhead. Remember, positive thoughts always create positive energy. Go out and explore all those wide open spaces in your world. Don't forget to follow me on all social media, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky. You got the picture. Like, love, follow, subscribe. Well, until next week, my friends. Ciao.